How are you guys monitoring and gauging the Deshaun Watson situation in Cleveland, and how that affects the rest of the Browns? Because they do have some relevant fantasy players with like Nick Chubb and now Amari Cooper.
Yeah, no question. It's one of the hardest situations that we deal with, in the offseason when you have these ambiguous suspension situations. Everybody's trying to get an edge in fantasy, so you'd love to see a situation where you can trust quarterback play in Cleveland. But right now, we're going into the year with the expectation that it's going to be Jacoby Brissett and then trusting those running backs to get it done. And it's really hard to take a chance on Amari Cooper. It's hard to take a chance on David Bell, the rookie wide receiver, because you just don't know what that passing offense is going to look like. And right now it looks like it's going to be a mystery for a while.
Hey, Andy, TJ here. How you doing, man?
What's up?
So here's just something we don't really talk about a lot in terms of fantasy, but in my league in particular, the last few years, our fantasy champion has been decided by their defense. Our league, we reward defenses pretty nicely in terms of points. And I know one year when Jacksonville caught fire, I rode them to a championship. And then 2 years ago, the Patriots defense was extremely stingy, and the team that had them won the title in our league. So are there any defenses out there right now that you have your eye on to kind of be like, yo, look for them in fantasy? They could be sneaky good.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that is so hard for fantasy players. And I think our general advice when it comes to like kickers and defense is if you're not spending your whole off season researching that position and they're the last players taken in drafts, you might not want to have them have a heavy proportion of your points, because there's a little bit, defenses, there's so much turnover. You talked about Jacksonville. We've seen them in days gone by bounce back and forth, from dominating to all of a sudden being a wasted draft pick. It's some of the staples that at the top, Buffalo and Tampa and the Rams. The Chargers could be very sneaky this year, but fantasy players probably don't spend a lot of their time focusing on defense. So you got to be careful with how much emphasis you give them in scoring.